In Pet Sematary, a doctor, Jason Clark, and his family leave the big city, or a bigger city anyway, for him to practice medicine in a smaller town. There's like kind of in a country rural environment. And they don't know it when they move in, but after they move in, they find out that there's a cemetery where people bury their dead pets. It's an old burial ground, and nearby is an even older burial ground with some nefarious stuff going on. And he discovers, the father does, that when he buries, dead things in the cemetery, in that ground, they come back. And when a family tragedy, falls his family, he decides to take a loved one back there and to bring them back to be with them another time. And that sets a horrible chain in motion and starts the whole horror fiasco. And his wife is played by Amy Seimetz. Their family friend who lives there, a local family friend, is John Lithgow. And their two kids, their daughter and their son, are J.T. Lawrence and Hugo Lavoie. This is the latest adaptation in a famous Stephen King story of the same name, which has been made into a movie multiple times. I saw one of the earlier ones when I was a little kid. I don't remember it that well, but it was the first Pet Sematary that came out in 1989. And I only have vague memories of it. But I remember, this is very similar to that because, it's the same, they're adaptations of the same story. But there were some changes I remember with characters. I guess they didn't want to make it seem like it was the exact same movie over and over again. So they did change some plot elements, but it's still the basic, story. So what did I think of the movie? I thought it was a decent horror flick. I know if you were to check out the reviews of it and stuff, like the critics, most of them seem to be in love with it. I do think it's a good movie, but I don't think it was the scariest thing ever. As you know, when movies come out, especially when it's a good movie, a lot of the hype and the buzz, these days, make it sound like it's the best movie ever or the scariest movie ever made, blah, blah, yada, yada. You see that a lot with Marvel films, right? Every Marvel movie that comes out is the best movie ever or the best Marvel movie ever. And sometimes it's just, a good movie, not the best thing ever. And I feel like Pet Sematary, while a decent horror movie, it's fine. I mean, I don't really think you should buy into the hype that it's the scariest thing you've ever seen or anything like that. It is good, though. But, don't think that you're going to, have your mind blown watching it. I mean, most movies aren't that good. So, cut through the hype, and when you go see this movie, realize you're seeing a good, decent horror movie. But, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like one of the top horror movies ever. That said, it's a more of an atmospheric horror movie. I mean, there's definitely blood and stuff in it and violence, but it's not really shot in a way where, this isn't like watching a movie like Saw, is what I'll say. It's not like torture porn. They don't really go hardcore with the gore. It's not even like Friday the 13th. It's more, they build up the suspense and, it's more about the characters. Well, one character in particular making bad choices and how that affects the rest of the family drama-wise. And, it's more of like a suspenseful, chills kind of horror movie. And, it does have, as with most horror movies, it doesn't exactly end well for, a lot of people in the movie. So you'll have the same kind of experience you have watching any other horror movie. I mean, it's very well done and well executed, is what I'll say. All the performances are very good. The actors all do a great job selling it. There are a few times in the movie, though, where, people are menaced by, a certain force. And I feel like in real life, they would be able to fight this creature off a bit better, given the size difference. I'm not going to really go into any more spoilers. But I kind of think that in real life, you'd be able to put up a better fight than some of the characters in this movie were able to put it up. But, it's still a good time for this kind of movie. Like a lot of horror movies, though, one thing that might, annoy you, which is the same across multiple horror movies, I mean, it's a common thing in the genre, is, there is a character in this movie who just makes a lot of dumb choices. And those dumb choices are the reason everybody else pays for it, including this character. And you do kind of wonder, like in real life, would anyone in this situation do these things this person is doing? It's easier for you to judge, though, when you're not in this person's shoes. Maybe if you were them, you would do the same things. But watching the movie, I was kind of like, yeah, come on. I mean, after, what's going on, you kind of need to know better than this. Don't do it. And I would think a lot of other people would probably know better. And, it's one of the things about the horror genre that gets on people's nerves. Is like you're sitting there, like, wanting to yell at the people on the screen, like you're being an idiot, or you're just making really bad choices. And it's kind of the same thing with Pet Sematary. If I say anything more than that, it'll be spoilers, but you probably can figure out who I'm talking about or what I'm talking about. But, this also shares with this shares a lot in common, that one thing in common with many of the horror movies, and that it's like it requires the characters to, or, a character or multiple characters to do dumb stuff in order for it to really work. Sometimes, because it's a horror movie that involves supernatural effects, there are special effects in the movie. And there are a couple of scenes where you can tell that people are in front of a green screen. It's well done green screen, but there's something off about it where you can tell they're not really in a forest when they are, maybe they should be in a forest or on a highway or whatever. And those did stick out to me. But, they were well done, but it was obvious that, I don't know, maybe they were trying to like save some budget money and were like, instead of putting these characters in a real forest, let's just film it in the studio and put some green screen and, edit in some, fake, highway or forest. And, if you're a savvy movie viewer, you'll probably be able to pick out which scenes those were. But all in all, I think if you're a horror movie fan, you will enjoy Pet Sematary, because it's just like, it's just as good as, any other decent horror movie. But I wouldn't believe a lot of the hype saying that this movie's the best, the scariest movie ever or anything like that. Very few movies are that good. But this movie is still decent, and I recommend it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.